So is there somebody who has an answer? Remember, we have started by saying that today we'd want to look at what we are calling the Hamada's model. And the Hamada's model, there are those things that are very important. And one of those things are which ones here, somebody? The gearing ratio. And I started by telling you that the gearing ratio is the level of indebtedness in the capital structure. Ladies and gentlemen, when your gearing ratio is so high, very many banks will fear you. Many banks will not be able to give you additional loans. So when the gearing ratio is so high, there is a high probability that you're going to enter into bankruptcy. You shall be able to face what we call financial distress. Somebody already has this figure. Nerea tells me we have 0.4736, Pinjenga 0.4736. The topic is the topic that we were doing in our last class, if you can recall. It is advanced financing decision, advanced financing. If you look at your notes, you'll be able to see the Hamada's model. So under Hamada's model, ladies and gentlemen, we must be at a position of knowing how to compute the gearing. Gearing is about the debt level, the level of debt. And to get the gearing ratio, we normally take debt all over, debt plus what here? Equity. And then I came here with a question. Lucy has given us another different answer. So I came here with a question where you are given debt to equity ratio as 0.9. Debt to equity ratio as 0.9. Today is a combination. Oh, okay. How did that happen, really? How did that happen? Is it that you guys got, because this was supposed to be the block release. However, everyone here will be able to benefit. Everyone will be able to benefit. Don't run away. Everyone will be able to, because this is even a concept that you guys did in CPA section 3. So everyone will really benefit. So don't run away. You just pick it from here. Just know that we shall be dealing with gearing ratio. And the gearing ratio is debt over debt plus equity. And then we have a small question where this person has given us the debt to equity ratio, which is 0.9. And then they want us to give them the gearing ratio. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very well. When you are given debt to equity ratio as 0.9, what you need to do is to come and just present this as follows. So debt to equity will be 0.9 is to 1. That's how you write it. 0.9 is to 1. 0.9 is to 1. 0.9 is to 1, meaning that the first component is debt. So debt is 0.9 and the E is 1. Now, once you have here, now you will comfortably give us the gearing ratio. You will easily give us the gearing ratio. How will you get the gearing ratio? We know the formula. It is debt all over debt plus equity. Now that you guys have debt already, which is 0.9, all over debt again, which is 0.9, plus equity, which is what here? 1. Plus equity, which is 1. Now we should be able to get what here? We should be able to get this gearing ratio. So could you kindly give me the gearing ratio? So we have Malim saying, Malim introduced from the beginning. This is just an introduction. I haven't even started the Hamada's model, right? So please give me this figure, 0.9 divided by 1.9. 0.9 divided by 1.9. Tony tells me it is 0. The debt ratio or the equity ratio. I'm being told that the debt or the equity ratio is 0.4. 0.4. So we have here the gearing ratio is 0.4737. Thank you, and thank you very much. So if, for example, if somebody was to give you another question here, question 2, if somebody was to give you a debt to equity of 2.5, with your eyes closed, could you kindly give me the gearing ratio? With your eyes closed, could you kindly give me the gearing ratio? with your eyes closed, could you kindly give me the gearing ratio? Kindly give me the gearing ratio. So gearing ratio, straight away I'll come and pick the figure that is here, which is 2.5 all over 2.5 plus 1. I'll not even really reason about this. So I'll always take the figure that is here divided by the same figure plus 1. So because of the concept of what here, somebody? Because of the concept of 2.5 is to 1. The concept of 2.5 is to 1, is to 1, is to 1. So Nerea, Pinjenga, Justin Namu, they're able to get this figure of 0. What here? 0.71, 0.71, 0.71, 0.71, 0.71, 0.71. I can see good questions here. Before I answer that question, let me give you the last one. Question number 3. Question number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Question number 3, this time around, they have given us debt to equity is 4:6. 4:6. And then they want you to give them the gearing ratio. The gearing ratio. The gearing ratio. They want you to give them the gearing ratio. So saidia jameni. Jameni saidia leo Justin Namu hana raha leo. Kwa nini? Kwa nini sasa Justin hauna raha leo? Where I come from, once you hold yourself like this, we will say that this person has got many issues we shall overcome. So all of them are able to get 0. What here? 0.4 over here, 0.4. All of them are able to get 0.4. Thank you and thank you very much. What these students have been able to know is the formula of a gearing ratio, which is debt all over debt plus what here? Plus equity. And this 4 becomes our debt. This 6 is our equity. So here you can't use the concept of 1:1 because already there is this is to. So what do we have here? We have 4 all over 4 plus 6, which will end up giving me 0.4. Thank you and thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the last one for us to say that really we have cracked this. Question number 4. Question number 4. Question number 4. Question number 4. So question number 4, what do we have here? I want to mute all of us. So question number 4. So question number 4. Question number 4, ladies and gentlemen, they have given us the debt to equity ratio. They have given us here 0.8. 0.8. And then we are required to do something very easy. They want us to give them the weight of debt. They want us to give them the weight of debt and the weight of equity. The weight of debt and the weight of equity. The weight of debt and the weight of equity. They want us to give them the weight of debt and the weight of equity. Could you kindly assist me? Weight of debt versus weight of equity. Weight of debt versus weight of equity. Weight of debt versus weight of equity. The other one, you guys were very fast to give me answers. I expected you to do the same for this. I expected you to do the same for this. This is even much easier. Much easier. Because it is something that I'm able to see with my eyes live. Eric tells me 0.44 and 0.56. Jenga tells me debt is 4. I'm a 0.4. Peter Kinyumu tells me 0.44 and a 0.56. So what these students are telling me is that, Mwalimu, we are very comfortable with that. Don't even do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. We are very comfortable with those figures. You can see all of them. Everybody is having the same figure. So Mwalimu, don't do that question. Already we have the figures. You can see Christine Loigero, Lucy Naisenya, already they have the figures. So can I go to something different? Are we comfortable, all of us? Faith says Mwalimu, do it. Ah, sawa. Faith says Mwalimu, do it. Now, anytime they want you to give them the weight of debt, ladies and gentlemen, they basically want you to ascertain, the gearing ratio. They basically want you to ascertain the gearing ratio. So gearing ratio is the same as the weight of debt. We are saying that weight of debt, which you normally take as WD, is the same as gearing ratio, Weight of debt is the same as a gearing ratio, whose formula is debt all over debt plus equity. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, we have, when it's written like 0.8, I have to come and say ta-ta 1. 0.8 ta-ta is to 1 like that. And the first one is debt. The second one is equity. So what do we have here? The debt is 0.8 all over debt again, which is 0.8 plus equity, which is 1 like that. Which is 1 like that. So could you kindly come and give us this figure? Weight of debt will be equal to what? Weight of debt will be equal to what? Yeah, Faith now tells me it is 0.44. Ladies and gentlemen, having gotten weight of debt, getting weight of equity is just like a walk in the park. It's a simple thing. So weight of equity, ladies and gentlemen, weight of equity will be 1 minus 0.44. That is how these students were able to get what here? 0.56 like that. 0.56. That is how they were able to get 0.56. 0.56. Now, ladies and gentlemen, to be able to put across this concept of Hamada's model nicely, I have a question there for you. I have a question here which reads, Biashara Limited is financed by debt and equity, 2 components only. The company is in the process of determining the optimal capital structure that will minimize its WACC. The cost of debt at various levels of leverage is as follows. We have the debt to assets ratio, and then we have the debt to equity ratio, and then they have given us cost of debt before tax, meaning at the end of the day, you have to deduct tax out of the debt cost. Additional information, the company uses CAPM to estimate the cost of equity. The risk-free rate is 5%, and the market risk premium is 6%. The rate of corporation tax is 30%. The rate of corporation tax is 30%. And then they've done a big mistake. They've given us what we call the unlevered. Unlevered beta is 1.2. And then, ladies and gentlemen, they want us to do something very easy. They want us to give them the company's optimal capital structure. 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 If you know how to screenshot, to take a photo of your screen, you simply take a photo of that screen the way it is, and then later on you'll be able to print this question. Or I can also share it with you through WhatsApp. Great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, whenever I see in advanced financial management, a column of debt to equity ratio, the very first thing that I will do is to come and get the appropriate weights. 3 marks there. Anytime you see a column of debt to equity ratio, always give us a column for weight of debt and a weight of equity. So I want you to take this great opportunity there. You grab this great opportunity and compute for us, ladies and gentlemen. You compute for us, ladies and gentlemen, those particular what here weight. I will come, so I have my debt to equity, 0.25. So remember, the concept of introducing is to 1 because of debt is to equity. Is to 1 like that. So if they want me to give them weight of debt, what I'll do, I'll come and take the 0 here. I say divided by the sum of the 2. So 0 plus 1, which the first one will be 0. The second one, I'll pick the first one here, which is 0.25 divided by 0.25 plus 1. And then I'll be able to say equals. I can see Eva Mararo has been able to get all of them correct. When you come here, 0.67 divided by 0.67 itself, but now plus 1. So we have here 1.5 divided by 1.5 plus 1. We have 4 divided by, into bracket here, 4 plus 1. 4 plus 1 like that. So if I do it that way, then I will be able to get some parameters. I will be able to get, like, the first one is 0. How about the second one, my great students? The second one, somebody tells me 0.2. The second one, somebody is telling me the correct answer is supposed to be 0.2. The second one, somebody tells me that, ladies and gentlemen, somebody is telling me that the second one, somebody is telling me it's supposed to be 0.2. Is that correct? Thank you very much. How about the third one? How about the third one? The third one, can you kindly divide this for me? The third one, 0.67 divided by, open brackets, 0.67 plus 1. What figure are we getting? 0.4. Somebody is telling us. So next one, I'm being told is 0.what here? 0.4, and then we have 0.6. How about the last one? How about the last one? The last one, what do we have here for the last one? For the last one, I'm being given a figure of 0.8. Thank you, and thank you very much. So if I could organize my figures very well, very well, what do we have here? What we have, ladies and gentlemen, is an easy thing. We have here 0, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6. Here we have what we call 0.what here? 0.8. Once I have the weight of debt, then the weight of equity, we know that weight of debt plus weight of equity must always add up to 1. Weight of debt and the weight of equity, whenever you add them, they must always add up to what here? They must always add up to 1. So meaning that this weight of equity will be 1 minus 0, which is 1. This will be 1 minus 0.2, which is 0.8. This will be 1 minus 0.4, which is 0.6. 1 minus 0.6 gives me 0.4. 1 minus 0.8 gives me 0.what? 0.2. Ladies and gentlemen, what do we know about optimal capital structure? Optimal capital structure, like Eric was asking us somewhere there, optimal capital structure is that capital structure that will minimize our weighted average cost of capital. Remember, our weighted cost of capital, weighted average cost of capital can never be constant. Can never be constant. This weighted average cost of capital, because of the usage of debt, it will straight away start by going down. As you increase your debt, you make some cost savings. But of course, you'll reach some level where debt now will start choking you. Debt will start choking you. So once debt starts choking you, the finance, distress costs, auctioneers on your door, etc., etc., the WACC will start rising, So the most important thing is for us to appreciate here that this is the optimal WACC. That particular WACC, which happens to be what here at the lowest WACC. The lowest WACC is the optimal WACC. So then, ladies and gentlemen, what you're supposed to do at each of these points is to calculate the WACC. We need to come and calculate the WACC that you guys were so good at when you were in CPA section 3. To get WACC, we normally take the weight of equity, cost of equity, plus weight of debt, cost of debt. But now remember that cost of debt must be after what year? After taxation. The cost of debt must be after taxation. I would want you to write that formula and please try as much as possible to plug in those figures for us. The examiner, like in this case here, this examiner for sure, he has given us cost of debt. Cost of debt, KD, the examiner has given us KD there very well. The cost of debt has been provided. But now, how about the cost of equity? How about the cost of equity? How about the cost of equity? Can somebody talk to me tonight? Tell me, what do you think shall I do to be able to get the cost of equity? Somebody tell me. What do you think shall I be able to do to get cost of equity, because it has not been expressly given in this question? It has not been given. It has not been given. So you've gone to an exam. You've known that for optimality, we need to come and look for the lowest WACC. And you have known that for us to get this WACC, ladies and gentlemen, you've known that for us to come here and get WACC, to come and get this WACC, what do we need to do? What we need to do is to come and say WACC equals weight of equity, cost of equity, plus weight of debt, cost of debt. But now remember that this cost of debt has to be adjusted for what year? For taxation. Cost of debt has to be adjusted for taxation. Thank you very much. Josephine, HP man. HP told me last time, we have Peter Kinyumu says CAPEM, yes. One of the uses of CAPEM, like you were asked in last semester's but one exam, they asked us to give them functions of CAPEM. One of the major functions of CAPEM is to ascertain the cost of equity. We normally use CAPEM to ascertain the cost of equity of organizations, yes. So please go ahead and write for us the formula of cost of equity. Using CAPEM. CAPEM cost of equity using CAPEM will be equal to risk-free rate of return into how will you be guided on the optimal gearing ratio of the client company. Good questions over there. So we have risk-free plus, into brackets here, we have ERM minus risk-free multiplied by beta of who? Beta of equity. Eric, I'm almost able to reach basically to an answer to your question. Just be a little bit patient. Cost of equity under CAPEM. Cost of equity under CAPEM. Cost of equity under CAPEM. Ladies and gentlemen, the formula is here. CAPEM's cost of equity. Formula is here, risk-free, plus into brackets, expected returns of the market, minus risk-free rate of return, multiplied by beta equity multiplied by beta equity multiplied by beta equity. Once I've given you, ladies and gentlemen, the formula, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, listen and listen to me very well here. This beta equity has to be beta equity levered, beta equity with debt. And the one that they have given us here is beta equity. Look at note 6. The one that they have given us is unlevered equity beta. Beta of a firm that does not have what here, somebody? Any debt, unlevered. And yet, our firm that you're analyzing, we can see it coming up with various levels of what here? Debt. So I need, if I were you, I would have written there, BEL, BEL. And then I'll write somewhere that BEL stands for beta equity of a levered organization. Beta equity of a levered organization. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how do I get to change beta equity of unlevered to beta equity of levered? When you give me beta equity unlevered, when you give me this beta equity unlevered, let me go back here. When you give me this beta equity unlevered is also known as assets beta. Is also known as assets beta. It is basically applicable to those organizations that don't have debt. They are ungeared completely. Ungeared completely. They're ungeared completely. Ladies and gentlemen, when I'm given this beta equity unlevered firm, to take this to beta equity of a levered firm, I can see what Eric has told me. Use Hamada's model. Use Hamada's model. Use Hamada's model, yes. Use Hamada's model. So to convert from beta equity unlevered to beta equity levered, what shall we be using? Hamada's model, and even somebody called Nerea there has gone ahead to give us the equation itself. The equation itself. Although your brackets are not right. There is a problem with your brackets. There is a problem with your brackets. Just watch out your brackets there. Because of body mass, you may end up getting it wrong, and yet you have a great idea. So you're going to use Hamada's model. We are going to use Hamada's model, but I would want to see whether there is anybody who will be able to remember that formula. Nerea has really tried, but there is something wrong with her brackets. Is there anybody who is able to remember? Is there anybody who is able to remember? The Hamada's equation. Let's see what Peter has. Beta equity levered firm equals beta equity into 1. Very good. Very good. So what we're going to do here, to get beta equity of a levered firm, we shall take beta equity over unlevered firm into 1 plus debt over equity. 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 And this has to be adjusted for tax like that. Has to be adjusted for tax. Or you can also decide to work like with what Maalim has. Even Peter Kinyumu. You can have this 1 minus tax coming here first. Yeah, that is okay. Josephine also got it right. Remember, this is beta equity of an unlevered firm. And this beta equity of an unlevered firm is also called what here? Beta assets. It's also called beta assets or assets beta. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I will do, because I've got various debt to equity levels here, I'll come and create a column of beta equity of a levered firm up there. And once I have beta equity of a levered firm, I will come and do the first one. Beta equity of unlevered firm has been given in note number 6. Note number 6, they have told me I'm trying to plug in the figures in this equation. Beta equity of the unlevered firm, beta equity of the unlevered firm, ladies and gentlemen, beta equity of the unlevered firm, ladies and gentlemen. Note number 6 is 1.2. into 1 plus. For this arrangement, I can see the debt to equity ratio. I can see the debt to equity ratio without these ones. I can see the debt to equity ratio without those ones. The debt to equity ratio here is 0. The debt to equity ratio there is 0. So 0 times 1 minus taxation. Taxation has been provided for us here in note number 4. It is corporation tax rate of 30%. So 1 minus 30%, 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7. So I'll be putting here 0.7 to get the beta equity of a levered farm. Of course, if this farm has 0 debt, you'll bear witness with us that we'll end up getting 1.what here? 1.2. We'll end up getting 1.2. Now, could you do me a favor? Give me beta equity of a levered farm whose debt to equity ratio is 0.25. Just take a step of faith, a step of faith. Remember, learning, there is no learning without stains. You simply try to plug in and then you get it wrong. Once you are down there, there is quite a lot to be learned when you are down. We don't learn so much when we are up there. We learn a lot when we are at that point of failure. So like now, Max Miller Akinyi has been able to give me a figure of 1.41. 1.41. Lucy also gives me 1.41. How about gentlemen today? Gentlemen today, I can see Peter is very active. We also have Malim. Malim is also very active. Actually, Malim should be getting a present. Very, very important. He joined in much late and he really picked up. Pamela has given me 1.41. So D. Osongo, thank you very much, D. Osongo for coming in. So we have here, remember beta equity of unlevered farm will apply across the board. So we have here 1.2 into, we have 1 plus the debt to equity ratio. The debt to equity ratio is 0.25 times 0.7, don't forget. This is what they're giving me as 1.41. Now, could you kindly compute all the others and then you advise us accordingly? Compute all the others and then you advise us accordingly. You compute all the others and then you advise us. Give us the others so that I don't also have a video that will be too long, wasting the students will be watching later. So what my students have been able to give me are these beta equities of a levered farm, basically by plugging in the parameters in the big equation here. So they've been able to get these. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before what Nerea is proposing, Nerea has forgotten one thing. We were getting beta equity for what purpose? For purposes of getting cost of equity. For purpose of getting cost of equity. So like Max Miller is telling us, we need to come and calculate the cost of equity for each. So come here and calculate now the cost of equity for each using which model? CAPM. I hope your space will allow. And of course, if it can't allow, accountants normally are very creative. I'm so sure you'll be able to get away of even starting another column down here, starting another column down there. So cost of equity using CAPM, what do we have? I like the CAPM formula. CAPM formula because CAPM normally starts with this RF. RF plus, we have ERA minus RF. Now multiplied by my beta equity that you guys have been able to calculate for. Remember, it's beta equity of a levered farm that you guys have been able to calculate for me. Now, please come and give us the risk-free rate of return. The risk-free rate of return has been provided in note number 2. Not 2. The risk-free rate of return. The risk-free rate of return has been given. The risk-free rate of return in note 2, yes. The risk-free rate of return is 5%. So 5% plus, if you're not careful here, you can easily get a 0. These people have given us the market risk premium. Market risk premium means that they have already subtracted for us. They have already, you see this one here is the premium. So premium means that they have already subtracted for us. Don't subtract again anything from that. They have already subtracted for us. 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 So like now we have the market premium here being 6. So we have 6. Come and multiply this with the beta equity of the first scenario here, which was 1.2. 1.2. So the beautiful thing with CAPM, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that CAPM, I like CAPM because everything here will be the same. Like now the second one, it will be 5 plus 6 times. The risk profile is the one that changes. So times 1.41. Please give me these answers. Please give me these answers. Give me the answers. Give me the answers. Start now giving me the answers. Give me the answers very first. What do we have there? Ladies and gentlemen, here, the figures that we have been given here, the first one is 12.2. The second one, 13.46, 15.56, 19.76, 32.36. Once I get those figures, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not yet at home. What I have there is the cost of equity, which in this case here, a good student who is a good driver should be able now to give us the finishing line. Where do we touch for us to say, really, we have hit home? What do you think will be the next step that we shall get into, which will be the last step? Or are we at home? Are we at home? Are we at home? Josephine has crowned it all. Josephine has told me that Mwalimu, once you have your cost of equity, don't forget somewhere you are given the cost of debt. Now give us like what also Justin Namu is telling us, Dio Songo is telling us, give us the WACC, that, ladies and gentlemen, for each debt level, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, WACC is yours. Supposed to be 12.2. Remember what we have done. For us to be able to get this WACC, we know the formula. We know the formula. Weight of equity times cost of equity plus weight of debt times cost of debt into 1 minus taxation. Into 1 minus taxation. So we have here 1 times 12.2 plus the first scenario. Weights are here. So the weight of equity is 1 times 12.2 cost of equity plus weight of debt, which is 0, times cost of debt, which is 7. But the debt must always be adjusted for what here? For taxation. So go for the second one. Oh yeah, the second one. What do we have here? The second one, ladies and gentlemen, I can see the weight here. The weight is 0.8, weight of equity, times cost of equity. Cost of equity is 13.46, like that. Plus weight of debt is 0.2 times cost of debt, which is 8, times 0.7, which in this case here, these students were able to give me very fast. They were able to give me these figures very fast. Like Max Miller tells me that the second one is supposed to be 11.88 or 89, 11.89%. And then now the next one, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, without doing anything, the next one I can trust the answers which are being provided by my students. Like I can see Edith has 12.14 or 136. The next one I can see is 12.944, 12.94. The last one I'm seeing is 14.87%. 14.87%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very well. When it comes to optimization of your capital structure, the optimal capital structure is normally that capital structure that corresponds to the lowest WACC. So look for the lowest WACC. The lowest WACC is supposed to be which one here amongst all these? Who is able to see the lowest WACC? The lowest, I don't know where Malim got the 10.88 from. The lowest WACC amongst all this is supposed to be, I'm waiting for you to give me 11.89. You're right. So 11.89, if this is the correct one, if 11.89 is the optimal WACC, then the optimal capital structure, will be, ladies and gentlemen, we have debt, and then we have equity. The optimal capital structure will be the capital structure which corresponds to this 11.89. Basically, this one. Basically, that one. So the weight of debt, which corresponds to this best WACC, is 0.2, which is the same as what here? 20%. 20%. And then we have equity. Equity will be 0.8. This one basically here, which is what here? Which is 80%. Which is 80%. Which is 80%. 80%. So is there anybody who has a question regarding to what we have done today? Now, if you look at this debt to asset ratio, debt to asset ratio is also the same as gearing ratio. Debt to asset ratio, I'm repeating again, is the same as gearing ratio, and therefore this is the same as what here, the weights of debt. Whenever you see an examiner who gives you, ladies and gentlemen, an examiner who gives you debt to asset ratio, this is a good examiner because he's giving you weights of debt automatically. And if you look at the weights of debt that we computed, you'll bear witness with us that these really are the same weights of debt that we have there. Great. So we are doing November 2018, question number 5. November 2018. November 2018. November 2018, question number 5. So I'm saying, because I've seen debt to equity ratio, the first thing that I will do is to come and ascertain the weight of debt. And how do I get the weight of debt? When you give me the equity ratio, for example, debt to equity, 0. I know it says 0 is to 1. And therefore, the first one will be 0 divided by 0 plus 1, which of course will give us 0. The second one, I can see the debt to equity. Debt to equity, the second one is 0.25. So once I get 0.2, I'll say 0.25 is to 1. And once I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, what I will do, I will come here, and say 0.25 divided by 0.25 plus 1. So I'm so sure you guys must have gotten these things correctly. Could you kindly give me these answers very fast? What do we have for the debt proportion? The first one, of course, I know is 0. How about the second one? The second one. Please give me these figures very fast. The second one. So Edith 0.2, Malim 0.31. The second one is supposed to be 0.2, eh? I'm being told 0.2. The third one 0.4. I want somebody to write them in a way that I'll be able to understand. Can somebody write these in a way that I'll be able to understand very fast? We start with the first one is correct. The second one is correct. So somebody can even say third one. The third one. The third one is supposed to be 0 point. The third one is supposed to be 0 point. I'm told 0.38 or 375. At least 2 decimal places is okay. So 0.38 is okay. The next one after that, I'm being told is 0.63. And then the last one, I'm being told is 0.71. Thank you and thank you very much. So please come and give me the weight of equity. Bearing in mind that the two weights must always add up to 1. So the weight of equity will be 1 minus, like the first one will be 1. The second one will be 1 minus 0.2. 1 minus 0.2 will give me 0.8. This will give me 0.62. This one here will give me 0.37. This one will give me 0.29. Once I get the weights, these are very common type of questions. 0.2, 0.375, 0.63, 0.71. Then we have 1.8, 0.62. Great, great. Once I get this, ladies and gentlemen, I know if there is any unlevered beta, I have to leverage my betas. I have to leverage my betas using what we call the Hamada's model. So I need to come and write for my examiner, the Hamada's model is BEL, because I'm seeing in note number 6, they have given me unlevered equity beta. I need to come and lever it. I need to come and put debt into it. Using the Hamada's model, beta equity levered equals beta equity unlevered, or BA, beta assets, beta equity unlevered into 1 plus debt over equity into 1 minus tax, like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, beta equity of unlevered. You've given me a figure of 1.2 into 1 plus debt to equity. Debt to equity, like the first one, the debt to equity here is 0. Multiplied by, this is supposed to be multiplied by, ladies and gentlemen, what figure here? Multiplied by 1 minus tax is 0.3. So multiplied by 0.7. And that is why I'm so sure most of you, we created a column for BEL here. The first figure that you have here is 1.2. How about the second figure for BEL? Using this same concept. Using the same concept, ladies and gentlemen, BEL, using the same concept, BEL for the second one. So of course the 1.2 is a constant feature all over into 1 plus the second debt to equity ratio. The second debt to equity ratio is 0.25. Multiplied by the tax adjusting figure, which is 0.7, of which somebody is able to give me 1.41. The second one, is it 1.41 or 1.14? Pata potea. Is it supposed to be 1 point? The second one. The second one, kindly give me the second figure. The second figure, what do we have here? The second figure. So I can see a good student here, Malim, has given me the second one as 1.41. How about the third one from Malim again? 1.7. And then now we have 2.63. 2.63. And then the last one, according to Malim, is supposed to be 3.3. Thank you, and thank you very much. Thank you, and thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once I get these figures, I know what I should be doing next. This beta equity of a levered firm will give birth to cost of equity CAPM model. Once I get beta equity, the next thing, like I'm being told by Malim there, is to come and ascertain the cost of equity using the levered, the cost of equity using CAPM, I mean. So using CAPM, first of all, I'll come and write for my examiner, the cost of equity CAPM will be equal to risk-free plus ERM minus RF multiplied by beta equity, which will be tethered, which will be levered, like that. So we start with the first one. Remember, our work is very easy. Our work is to plug in. So we start with the risk-free rate of return. The risk-free rate of return has been given in note number 2. It is 5%. Plus, fortunately again, they have given us the risk premium in note 3. Note 3, they have given us a risk premium, which happens to be 8, multiplied by the first beta, which is 1.2. So could you kindly give me the first cost of equity? Please give me the first cost of equity using CAPM. Using CAPM, what is the first cost of equity? The first cost of equity using CAPM, what do we have here? So we have, ladies and gentlemen, 14.6. Please go to the second one. All these here will remain the same. The only thing that will be changing is the risk profile, is the beta. So like now here for the second one, I'll come and multiply this one here with 1.41. I'll come and multiply that with 1.41, and according to D. Onsongo, the second one, which was also obtained by Maalim, is 16.28. Go to the third one. The third one is 18.6. 18.6. The fourth one is 26. 18.6. And then we have 20. The fourth one, you have to confirm it for me. The fourth one has to be confirmed. Is it 26 exactly? 26. The fourth one, I'm being told it is 18.6. The fourth one is supposed to be exactly 26.04 or just exact. Let's put 0.04, right? And then the last one is supposed to be the last one. How about the last one? The last one, I'm being told here. So I'm being given some last figure here. I'm being given some last figure, which is 31.4. So once I have the cost of equity, it's not lost on me what the next step should be. Once I have the cost of equity and somewhere somebody has given me cost of debt, what I need to do is to come and consolidate the two. Put the two, of course, with the help of the weights which I had obtained earlier on. So I need to consolidate, put them, come and give them what we call the WACC. WACC. You see such kind of a question, if you are not careful, you will end up getting 0, and yet it is a savior question. It's a savior question. So come and give us the WACC. Give us the WACC. So WACC equals who? We know the formula. It's weight of equity, cost of equity, weight of debt, cost of debt, into 1 minus what here? Into 1 minus taxation. Into 1 minus taxation. Into 1 minus taxation. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we shall do here is to come and pick our first WACC. So our first WACC, I can see the weight. The weight of equity is 1. I can see the cost of equity, which is 14.6. And because the weight of debt indeed is 0, so this will kill everything, giving me what? WACC. So I'll come and create a column here for WACC. So my WACC, the first one, will be 14.6. You know, if the weight of debt is 0, regardless of what you'll put after this, regardless of what you put after that, you'll end up getting 0. So come and give us the second WACC. So the second WACC, ladies and gentlemen, what am I going to get at the end of the day? At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, here for the second WACC, I know the weight of equity is 0.8 times the cost of equity, the second one, 16.28, plus the weight of debt, which is 0.2, multiplied by the cost of debt. The cost of debt has been given on this table. The first cost of, or the second cost of debt is 8.5%. So times 8.5, but remember, these has to be tax adjusted. These has to be tax adjusted. These has to be tax adjusted. And from what I'm able to see Maalim giving me, the first figure Maalim gives me is 14.6. The second one is supposed to be 14.21. The third one is supposed to be 14.38. The fourth one is supposed to be 15.79. And then the last one is supposed to be 17.07. 17.07. 17.07. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. That is it. So now somebody needs to come and talk about optimality. Talk about optimality is all about minimizing our what here? WACC. Minimizing our WACC. minimizing our WACC, minimizing our WACC. So the very minimum WACC, Faith Ogachi, is which one? Is which one? Is which one? Is which one? So D Onsongo tells us that the lowest is 14.21. So you write there the optimal WACC is 14.2. The optimal WACC is the lowest, which is 14.2. And therefore, the optimal capital structure, you haven't finished very well. You haven't finished very well. The finishing should be okay. The finishing should be okay. So the lowest there is 14.21. How about the optimal capital structure, which the examiner asks you in Roman 2? Roman 2. Which he asks you in Roman 2. What are you able to see there? What are you able to see there? They haven't answered yet. They haven't answered yet. So we have Dion Songo saying that the optimal equity should be the one that corresponds to this 14.2. So the optimal equity should be 0.2 and no. Equity should be 0.8. Most people confuse like that. Equity should be 0.8 and debt should be 0. What here? Yes, Mercy has been able to crown it. 80 and 20%. 80 and 20%. So Eric, I hope I've answered you. For you to be able to advise on the optimal, you cannot have really something that cuts across all organizations. No. It's all about how you study the cost of equity, cost of debt like that. But ideally, the two should be balancing. Equity and the debt should be about 50-50, ideally. But most importantly, you need to be doing your analysis. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to call it a day. And I look forward to seeing again all of you, including the ones who never came, who are not supposed to be in this class. I need to see all of you in my tomorrow's class. So bye-bye. Good night. Thank you very much. It has been a pleasure hosting you. Bye-bye.